You can create the early retirement that you've been dreaming of, but only when you have the finances to show that you will never run out of money and you develop and maintain the right thinking and mindset when it comes to this. There are many bad habits out there, but there are a few that I consistently see that prevent people from feeling really comfortable and confident when it comes to an early retirement. Today, I'm going to talk about what they are and how you can eliminate them. Once again, for everyone, if you are new to the show, I am Taublieb. I am the financial planner at Root Financial Partners and the vice president specializing in early retirement. So I want to hop right in today. And number one is you're looking to cut the wrong expenses. Managing your cash flow is how you win in early retirement. Meaning, if you want to retire well and you want to have confidence and you want to feel you are doing everything to the best of your ability, you want to make sure that you're being really smart with cash flow. Now, a better way to explain that is some people think you need $1 million to retire, or $2 million, or 5, or 10, or a pension. You don't need any of those things. You need to replace your income. So how do we replace our income? Well, we do that by being wise with our cash flow. So many times, I'm going to guess here, you have heard a financial expert or guru say something like, to be successful in retirement, you need to make coffee at home, or make sure to never go out to eat. Now, it could be true in the sense of, assume you buy a coffee for $5 and you could make it at home for 25 cents. So that's $4.75 a day in savings. Assume 5 days per week. You buy coffee 4 weeks a month. Okay, maybe there's $95 a month you could have saved. Now, it's something, but what if you really love going out for coffee? And what if that's just something part of your routine? Is that going to make or break your ability to retire early? Probably not. Now, what if your budget for a new home when you retire early is something like $700,000, but you end up spending $800,000. So you took out an additional $100,000 for a mortgage. Well, that extra mortgage plus property taxes likely is going to add up to more than $700 a month, which is $8,500 a year. Call it for 30 years. That's $255,000. Now, yes, I'm a financial planner, so that's how my brain views things. But what I don't want you to do is go, okay, let me cut all of these minor expenses with the idea that I can retire early when one major expense could really make much more of an impact. Another example here, what if you could finance or lease a car that's more than you can really afford? Maybe it's an extra $400 or $600 or $800 a month more than it should have. If we get too, caught up in obsessing over the small purchases, we can lose sight of the things that really, really, really move the needle here. And I don't want you to get off track. Now, the reality is when you're looking at this, because you are all listening to this podcast in the first place, you are smart with money. Most of you are already, but these are some of the habits, and I'm going to go into a few more, that too many people I see get caught up in, and then all of a sudden they're thinking and spending all of this headspace that could either, go towards other better things that really could help them to the best degree. And if there's anything I do in these episodes, if you gather one thing that makes you go, I'm thinking different about an early retirement because, I have been thinking about the impact of coffee, or there is this one car, or whatever it is, I want this to resonate. So I hope that helped right there. Summarizing that for you, look at the big ticket items: housing expenses, car expenses, education costs. Changing one of those could be a lot more impactful than cutting out your coffee purchase or something like that. So let's just be smart about this, which goes to my point number 2, work hard, not smart. You hear this all the time, but think that the key, most people think the key to financial success, work really hard, really long hours, maximize income, save like a crazy person. That's mentally and physically exhausting. On top of that, it can also be ineffective. Here's an example. Let's assume 2 people, not going to say their names, but these were people that I had spoke with at one point, but of course, always for security reasons, not going to say their names here. Let's just assume the husband, he works a lot, long hours, and he wants to maximize his income. So he's saving $30K a year, and he's just putting it in his bank account, not investing it, just 30 to the bank account. Now, his wife, she works a good job, but she earns much less than her husband, and she's not putting any to the bank account, but she's investing $6,000 a year. So the husband, he's busy working, he just keeps working, puts money in the bank, and it sits there, and he does that for 40 years. His wife goes, I don't make near as much as you, but I'm going to invest my money in a good stock portfolio, 10% rate of return, inflation, all that good stuff. Well, what does that mean if she does that for 40 years? Well, he put $30,000 away. So he put $1.2 million away over 40 years. It's not a small feat. But his wife only put $240,000 away. The difference is she now has $2.6 million. So it's a very basic example. She has 2.6, he has 1.2. So that work smart, not hard. It's not all about your income and what's coming in. It's an important factor, but only because it allows you to save and invest really well. So can we work smart and not hard? So what are some of the things that can work for you? Well, I actually sent out an email literally as I'm making this podcast episode today. I sent out an email today, and a lot of you are on my mailing list, so you would have received this. And I record some of these episodes in advance. And so this one was titled in the subject line, if you are on my email list, how to retire early / control. And I put some things in here that I think really resonated with myself and clients had told me they did, which is there's a lot that's in your control. You can control how to minimize lifetime taxes. You can't control future track brackets. You can control the way your portfolio is designed. You cannot control how they will return in terms of exactly what investments will do what. You can restructure a loan. You can't control interest rates. You can control management of short-term reserves. You cannot control when an emergency will happen. So there's more examples like that. But when it comes to, what are good habits? How do you think through this? A lot of this is out of your control, which I fully realize. But what's in your control, that's what we want to take advantage of. So can we get the right portfolio mix to increase returns? Can we get the right Social Security strategy, which can put tens of hundreds of thousands of more dollars in your pocket? The right tax strategy, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of more dollars. The right withdrawal strategy, maximize income, all of that stuff. Just work smart, not hard. I know it's cliche, but really with early retirement planning, it plays such a bigger role because we need this money to last for 30, 40 plus years, and we want to do everything possible to put ourselves in the best position. So that's on that one. Last one I want to go over here is I call it skipping the beginning, and this is a firm-wide statement here, which is, what do you want your retirement to look like? That sounds really broad, almost a little woo-woo-y maybe, but to some of you, you will probably think about your finances first and what do you want retirement to look like second. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to think about your retirement first. What does, your future goals, what does life look like? A lot of people want to travel in their RV. I spoke with 3 people this week. All right, I want to retire early and go around in our RV around the country. Wonderful. If that's what you want to do, I want you to do it. But I also want you to know, okay, that's for the first 10 years. Talk to me 15 years from now. Are we spending time with family? Are we gardening? Are we trying to preserve our health to the most, what is it we're really doing? And how can we really get clear about that day to day? Not because you have to have it dial in, even if you think you do. I promise you don't, because you will retire and go, hey, there are other things. It turns out I want to do more. But don't start with, okay, how much, on earth do I need? Because what could happen is if you start with the finances and then come to the life section second, well, you might be spending more time at work than you need to. You might be saving more than you have to. And the last thing I want is for you not to be optimizing this, which to me, the sweet spot is how do you make sure you are working up until the day that you feel you don't want to anymore, not working 3 or 4 or 5 extra years that otherwise you could have been, spending with family or preserving health or things like that. So to me, I want to make sure that you don't skip this first piece, which is, okay, what do you really want to spend time doing? And I know this can feel intimidating, even in exercise. And I'm going to come out and guess this. I think I already know the answer. But for a lot of you, you would say, Ari, it's easier to just save and invest and kind of do the finances. It's harder to sit down and really think about these things. And you're right. I'm asking you to do a harder exercise. So take a blank, piece of paper. What are you doing? Call it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. What does life look like to you? Friends, hobbies, travel, and be really honest with yourself. Okay, you want to travel. Great. Are you doing it twice per year? Is it 6 minor trips and then 2 international trips? Is it nothing like that? And some of you will not, of course, need to do this, but some of you who are considering, okay, I want to retire early. I don't really know the best way of going about it. You do need to do this. And so that's kind of me coming back and asking you to please do so. So I will tell you, hey, please don't spend any time focusing on this or don't think about this. And there's some minor stuff there that a lot of people will spend time on, and I don't want you to do that. This is not that situation. This is where I don't need you to be perfect, but I need you to think about, okay, what is it you really want to do? And then we can talk through what might that cost. Sometimes the easy thing is to just keep working and don't think about it. And the hard part is being intentional about what you want that life to look like. This is important because your vision of a successful retirement should really inform how you invest, the way you withdraw, the way you collect Social Security, all of that good stuff. So if you don't take the time to do this, you might feel like you'll never have enough. You'll never feel fully secure in your finances, no matter how big your portfolio is, which defeats the purpose of proper planning. So some habits, some things to think about with an early retirement that I hope make you think a little differently. If this was helpful at all in this quick 10 minutes of, hey, thinking about early retirement habits, please in terms of liking this podcast, please rate it on the Apple Podcast or Spotify app, and then leave a review if there's been anything particularly helpful. It's most helpful to me if I can see what's resonated with you so I can make more content just like this. So once again, if you want a customized strategy, you can go in the description below and apply to work with me, and I will see you all at the next podcast or video. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Early Retirement Show. If you have a question that you want answered in a future episode, you can always go to my website, earlyretirementpodcast.com. That's earlyretirementpodcast.com, and you can go ahead and submit a question that I'll look to answer in a future episode. Thank you all for listening. Please do rate it, review it, and share it with someone who you think would benefit from this information, if there's anyone out there that you know. I certainly appreciate it, and I will see you all each week. Hey guys, it's me again. Please be smart about this. Nothing in this podcast should be construed as financial, tax, or legal advice. Consult with your tax preparer or financial advisor before taking any action. This podcast is for informational purposes only.